Another protest outside the Sigma Nu house is planned for tonight. Find out why a documentary crew will be there to capture the action.
Stressed out about getting your flu shot in time? We spoke to Dr. Van Orman about why you might be in the clear for now.
World leaders are gathering in Glasgow this week to combat climate change. Hear from a USC expert who will be presenting her research. Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Students are gathering again tonight on Greek Row to speak with the documentary crew about Greek life's impact on campus culture. Good evening, I'm Brett Chody.
And I'm Michael Sang. As a warning, tonight's show contains stories about sexual assault. We go now to Liv Alfano, who's coming to us live from 28th Street.
I'm outside of the Sigma Nu fraternity house where protests are set to begin at 7 tonight. This protest is not affiliated with any student group. It is being run by student advocate Layla Hilf, who has been contacted by a documentary film crew that will be in attendance tonight, along with parents of students across the country that have been affected by Greek life.
This is the opportunity for students who maybe didn't get across what they wanted to say in the last protest. They can say it now. And I wanted to make sure survivors and anyone else who had something poignant to say about the Greek system had an opportunity to do so on a really large level and have their voices heard.
Any students interested in attending tonight's protest can meet outside of Sigma Nu at 7 p.m. I'm Liv Alfano, reporting live for Annenberg Media. Now back to you in the studio, Michael.
Thanks so much, Liz. A Southern California filmmaker is making a docuseries about Greek culture college campuses. Reporter Nathan Hyun talked with the filmmaker about his decision to come to USC.
We have kids who drink too much and we're nervous about it very much.
Filmmaker Daniel Cotullo began to hear more stories about hazing deaths after making this documentary, Breathe, Nolan, Breathe. He plans to use these stories for an upcoming docuseries on the dark side of Greek culture on college campuses.
I honestly started just thinking, yeah, I can help fix this. And as I dug deeper, started realizing how big of a problem this is and how hard it's going to be to change. For 4 years, I've been living, eating, breathing, hazing in fraternities. And, it's a hard thing to do, to wake up every day knowing that, okay, today I'm once again going to go talk about some kids who died.
Gary Deversely Jr. was an 18-year-old freshman at Rider University in New Jersey. He died in 2007 after attempting to drink an entire bottle of vodka as part of a fraternity initiation. His parents are executive producers on Cotullo's documentary.
I'm feeling a lot of feelings right now when I think about that there's other families that just went through what we went through or about to go through what we're going to go through. And it's just not right because it's so senseless.
One death is more than enough. That our sons, our children are not collateral damage for business to continue as usual, and that we all need to together address the campus cultures, hazing, sexual assault, the cultures that go on that are not what we want.
Cotullo planned to come to USC before the sexual assault allegations against Sigma Nu became public. He says they are indicative of a greater problem within the Greek system.
We started realizing that the behavior patterns are very similar. And so people who haze are more apt to commit a sexual assault and vice versa. And it is all related. It all goes back down to the culture and what's driving this type of behavior.
Cotullo says he hopes this docuseries will push universities to take a proactive stance against the negative aspects of Greek life. For Annenberg Media, I'm Nathan Hyun.
Another protest is happening today on the Row, but one student is taking a different path to changing the conversation around sexual assault in Greek life. Sophie Pollock is the founder of A Path to Courage, an organization that supports sexual assault survivors. Pollock is a survivor herself and has spent the past weeks giving presentations to fraternities on campus. But she's faced some backlash for advocating reform over the abolition of Greek life.
Have faced a ton of backlash, and it is repulsive, the amount of death threats that I've been getting in my DMs. I don't think that abolishment is going to happen within the next 5 to 10 years, so we might as well do something about it now instead of continue to tell Carol to abolish it, because I don't think that Carol's going to do that right now.
Despite the backlash, Pollock says she will continue to advocate for reform. If you ever need to get in touch with emergency resources, contact DPS for 24-hour emergency assistance or to report a crime. Call RSVP to get in touch with an advocate.
The Academic Senate Executive Board released a memo late Sunday calling for transparency on the investigation surrounding the Sigma Nu sexual assault allegations. The memo says, "We are calling for the administration to commission an independent and thorough investigation. The results of this must be shared with the entire campus community in a transparent manner." A USC faculty member had this reaction to the memo.
The Faculty Senate sees in this issue an echo of the Pugliafito scandal and the Tyndall scandal, and sees an administration that hasn't managed to right the ship.
The memo questions why the administration took so long to communicate the sexual assault allegations to the community.
The academic office announced the launch of Advisor Connect today. The new triage service will help students understand the academic options and institutional resources available to them. The university also announced new deadlines for academic options such as withdrawal from a class and electing pass no pass. We spoke to the Vice Provost for Academic Programs about these changes as well as what students can expect from the new Advisor Connect.
The reason we've done it now is because we've announced a change in policy quite late in the semester. And what Advisor Connect hopes to do is just give them that sole point of contact to take some of the complexity out of it, and also to be responsive and to provide an answer as quickly as possible.
Students are able to request an incomplete starting on November 13th. They also now have the option to elect pass or no pass, as well as drop a class with a mark of W as late as December 3rd.
Today is the deadline for getting the flu shot, but USC's chief health officer tells Annenberg Media that students and faculty who have not gotten the flu shot will still be able to get on campus for now. Students can get vaccinated at testing sites on campus and at local pharmacies, such as the Target in the Village or CVS on Figueroa. So far, 70% of the faculty have gotten the shot, but only 55% of students have. Long lines on campus to get these shots have caused a lot of stress.
The appointment itself wasn't bad, but the waiting, so we had to basically line up in the Line Center, and that wait was like an hour. It wasn't that pleasant.
I'm in a dorm, a freshman dorm, and so we're all living in close quarters. If one person gets something, we all get it. So I think it's a pretty good thing that it's required.
Chief Health Officer Dr. Sarah Van Orman says there's plenty of vaccine. She says get the vaccine now because it takes about 2 weeks to be effective, and flu season starts soon, in early December.
So there's no Trojan Check restriction right now. That doesn't mean you're not late, and that doesn't mean you don't need to get your flu shot, and it doesn't mean there won't be a Trojan Check restriction.
She says the goal is to get everyone vaccinated, not to block anyone from coming to campus. Students can make an appointment through their MySHR portal, and it's free.
We're standing at an inflection point in world history. We have the ability to invest in ourselves and build an equitable, clean energy future, and in the process, create millions of good-paying jobs and opportunities around the world.
World leaders are gathering in Scotland for the annual United Nations Climate Change Conference. Experts warn this may be our last chance to combat climate change on a global level. But the global director of the Schwarzenegger Institute thinks real progress happens on a smaller scale.
As much progress as we're making with renewables, we haven't made enough to completely go off of fossil fuels. Energy is a local thing. I think if you look at California, we've made tremendous progress as far as reducing emissions, and that's happening not at the national level, it's happening at the state level.
The goals of this year's conference are to secure net zero emissions globally by 2050, work to protect and restore ecosystems, commit to ending coal, and expand electric vehicle adoption worldwide. One USC professor is set to speak at the summit virtually.
At least climate change communications are understandable to people at all educational levels and around the world. Words like adaptation, mitigation, carbon neutral, sustainable development that are just not widely understood.
COP26 started yesterday and will continue through November 12th. Tomorrow, more than 100 world leaders are planning to commit to ending and reversing deforestation by 2030.
Coming up next, we're bringing you the latest on Supreme Court abortion law arguments.
And that law is bringing activists out to the streets. We spoke to one woman who's dedicating herself to fighting for women's rights.
Angelinos are gathering today to celebrate Dia de los Muertos. Hear from two former Trojans about what makes this year's event extra meaningful.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckle tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Texas's anti-abortion law is back in the spotlight. Political anchor Marco Ramirez tells us about two cases before the U.S. Supreme Court.
Welcome to Fireside Facts, where we explain an issue or policy having a major impact. Texas's anti-abortion law has been in effect for 2 months, but the High Court appears to be concerned about its structure. The law is being challenged by Texas abortion providers and the U.S. Justice Department. The court might allow the former case to proceed and seems to be leaning against the latter. I spoke with the USC microbiology and immunology professor about how these cases could play out.
So the Texas law is very interesting, of course, because it takes the authority to enforce the law away from the state government and puts it in the hands of individuals. There's the potential that it could create a whole new system of bounty hunters who could end up going after doctors.
The Texas anti-abortion law is what brought Charlotte Williams back to the streets. The protester tells Annenberg Media's Anaja Smith she's been fighting for the rights of women and others for a very long time.
I don't understand why they're so obsessed with a woman's body.
Charlotte Williams speaks out for women to have control over their own bodies. She wears a red cape and white headdress from The Handmaid's Tale as a symbol for women's rights.
I am a woman, I'm a minority. I have sisters. My sister has grandchildren, 3 beautiful granddaughters, and I'm here for them.
Williams' activism started at a young age.
Started when I was in junior high school, actually. The school police was harassing a friend of mine, and I basically just stood in front of their vehicle and so they couldn't get by so he can go home the way he wanted to.
She comes from a family of immigrants from Belize. They taught her to stand up for herself and others.
I've always been around people from different nationalities my whole life, especially immigrants. People coming here to make a better life for them. And I think that's just in you, to fight for what's right regardless of the color of their skin or nationality or religion.
Although the United States allowed her grandparents to have a new life, Williams says the current state of the nation makes her want to return to her home country, Belize.
It breaks my heart every day to see how we're digressing instead of improving. Me going back to Belize will give me the peace that I want. I feel like I've been protesting my whole life and nothing seems to be getting better for Black people.
But as long as she's still here, Williams says she'll keep fighting for equality. For Annenberg Media, I'm Anaja Smith.
Many are celebrating Dia de los Muertos, a day to honor loved ones who have passed away. This year, the focus is on the loss of family members due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the 9th year Grand Park is hosting a free Dia de los Muertos art installation. It includes 20 altars made by artists. Joan and Diana Bohan lost their mother recently and described the impact these exhibits have on the community.
It shows people that there's another way to address passing on in a really positive way.
You can connect with, or at least feel that you're connecting with those that have passed on. All the offerings are specific to something, to a particular community.
And I'd love people to see the beauty of this, non-Hispanic people as well, and make this a tradition.
While the Dia de los Muertos exhibits are coming to an end tomorrow, celebrations will continue this weekend with a traditional Mexican dance performance in the USC Village. And now that it's November, let's hope we get some fall weather. Here's Marilyn for this week's forecast.
Thank you, Brett. After that spectacular weekend, we can count on some cloudy and sunny days this week. But first, let's get into today's current conditions. So we have a high of 64. It's a bit overcast outside with 69% humidity. And if you live in LA, you know that is considered sweater weather. Now let's move on to the 5-day forecast. Tuesday, we can expect a cloudy day with a little bit of sun peeking through for the most part, with a high of 72 and a low of 58. Wednesday, we'll see a high of 75 with a low of 57. And moving on to Thursday, we can see in true California fashion, we say goodbye to the clouds and hello to the sun with a high of 75 and a low of 57. And on to the weekend, a beautiful sunny weekend, 76 for Friday and 75 for Saturday with lows of 56. Now all this talk about weather is making me really hungry, and you know there's nothing I love more than on a day like today than some comfort food, especially Chinese, and lucky for me, there's a new spot in the village.
Like students to taste the very authentic and real, like local Chinese food, and hopefully they can learn our culture and how we make the food, and yeah.
Chinese Street Food is a restaurant serving authentic dishes to the USC community. Owner Eric Liu says he's excited to share a part of his culture one bite at a time.
It's my second time here, and I've tried this food here. It's very authentic, and it's very close to the school. I can just like finish my lab and come here for very good Chinese food.
Chinese Street Food is open every day, Monday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's USC's Village's first Chinese restaurant. And I can't wait to check it out.
USC women's soccer is on fire ahead of Friday's high-stakes rivalry match against the Bruins. Will the Trojans continue their unbeaten streak to claim the Pac-12 title? A rare home win for USC football was overshadowed by Drake London's season-ending injury. Hear player and coach reactions. And where do the Trojans go from here? All that coming up next on Sports.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib.
I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
It comes down to this. USC versus UCLA will determine the Pac-12 soccer champion on Friday. The matchup comes after a riveting 3-2 overtime victory for the Trojans against Stanford yesterday. Consider it a match made in heaven. The number 10 team scored 3 goals in the second half and in overtime to defeat number 9 Stanford. Corey Bethune scored 2 of the 3 goals, including the game winner in OT. It extends the Trojans' program record-breaking streak to 15 matches.
Ooh, man, I'm shaking in my boots, literally. I'm so excited. I'm very proud of this team. We didn't give up, and we just dug deep. This is a good game to follow up on. Yeah. And this is a learning lesson. We know not to give up. Just keep pushing towards the end.
Being down 2-0 at the break, the Trojans stuck to their plan and picked up their defense. Although playing without injured all-time scoring leader Penelope Hawking, the team knows there's no excuses to dim their shine on the field.
First half, I didn't think we played with the proper intensity. We looked a little intimidated by the moment. The halftime message was, if you want to show that you're a great team, you've got to take these moments and really push back and fight back. And this is a massive win for this group to have that kind of belief that they can do that on the regular.
The Trojans and Bruins will face off for the Pac-12 title on Friday at 8 p.m. in Westwood. The winner is crowned Pac-12 champion. If they draw, the title goes to USC. It would be the first outright conference championship in program history. Matt, how far do you think they'll make it to the NCAA tournament?
I really think this team can win it all in the NCAA tournament. Corey Bethune has picked up right where Penelope Hawking left off and had a hand in all 3 goals against Stanford. I think she'll be very productive and it'll help this team achieve victory.
Yeah, and to add on to that, Penelope Hawking, I really hope that she comes out of her concussion injury from the Washington State game. She's not just a team player, but she's really a team leader on this team. And so I'm really hoping that we can see some scores from her as well.
Some crushing news is keeping USC from celebrating their win over Arizona too much. The team is losing its Blitnikoff Award frontrunner as Drake London is out for the rest of the season with a fractured ankle. London is one of the bright spots for the Trojans this year, already accounting for 7 touchdowns and over 1,000 receiving yards in the season. London was on his way to his 7th game this year with over 100 receiving yards before he went down with an injury in the second quarter. London had the most receptions among FBS receivers through 7 games in college football history with 79. And other Trojans on the team took to Twitter to share their appreciation for London, with Kyle Ford saying, quote, "Just want to shout out my boy Drake London. Bro is something different and so many things ahead. Made me a better player every day. We're out there. We got you. Number 15, #fight on." Interim head coach Dante Williams shared more.
8 games he played, I think, that's somebody you see in those 8 games. All the awards you could think of, he deserves. Whether it's the Bolitnikoff, whether it's first team All-American, the things he did for this team and this university, he was about to put up probably one of the best statistical seasons, any receiver has ever put up in college football.
USC will make the trip to Tempe this weekend, where it'll take on Arizona State without London. Emily, who do you see filling his shoes this weekend and the rest of the season?
I really think that USC running back Keontae Ingram can take more carries for this season. So far he's had 5 touchdowns in the season, and he's on a good track to make a 1,000-run season. He's got a big role to play when Drake London is out. Big cleats to fill, but this is an opportunity for him to really step it up and see tell what he's worthy of.
I think Gary Bryant Jr. will be very productive in these next few games, and last week he had a 62-yard reception for the Trojans, and he'll be just as explosive in the coming weeks. And coming up next, People Making a Difference, we hear from 2 sisters who are sharing fashion with activism. Sorry, where am I?
Mientras cantas esta canción, no es fácil de olvidar. Tus maniquíes estarán. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ahora seco.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar, una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles, rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
Cup of Troy is a student-run organization trying to create a sense of community among students, one cup of coffee at a time. The group hosts pop-up coffee events that often incorporate live music. Cup of Troy first launched during the pandemic, and since then, the group has attracted a lot more students. With finals approaching, the demand for caffeine and a friendly face has nowhere to go but up. And with more customers, Cup of Troy has been able to organize much larger events.
It's nice to just like kind of all be in one place because as Pan-Hellenic, we don't really like hang out all together. So it was fun to do that. I definitely think it helped foster community.
There'll be a lot more events, a lot more just like coffee pop-ups as opposed to like, you know, just concerts. And there's a lot more I have planned, but I don't want to spoil it.
Cup of Troy's next event is November 19th.
Our series, Making a Difference, continues tonight with two sisters who found a way to mix fashion and activism. Reporter Eileen Rebollo shows us how their clothing line is helping some students.
Adelitas Apparel is a Latinx-owned clothing brand, operated by sisters Yahaira and Atsiri Peña.
So when we started Adelitas itself, it was because we needed money to pay for our DACA and to pay for our books. We just started college. My sister and I were like, let's do something that's a little bit more than what it is to just sell clothes, because it's super easy to sell clothes. It's super easy to just slap a word on a shirt and sell it. But we wanted something to be more meaningful.
And that is precisely what the sisters did. Funding DACA through fashion, the sisters donate a portion of their profits to help cover the DACA application fees of many individuals.
A federal judge in Texas suspended DACA back in July. The Biden administration is challenging that ruling and is moving forward with proposals to defend the program and its streamers.
Though the future of DACA is an ongoing debate, current recipients are still eligible for renewal requests. Since starting their brand, the sisters have raised about $24,000 to cover nearly 50 applications. Some of their favorite clothing pieces are meant to uplift and destigmatize undocumented voices.
We have undocumented hats, and that came because everyone likes to say hot girl summer, and it's cool.
Atsiri believes that the program is far from perfect.
It really only helps a very specific few, and that specific few is people who they feel like are the best for the economy. And we are not an economy boost, we are human beings.
For more information, you can visit adelitasapparel.com. This is Eileen Rebollo for Annenberg Media.
That's so great that they're using fashion for good. And with that, thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Brett Chody.
And I'm Michael Sang. Good night.